Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Rob, and I am here with another look at the book. And in this episode of a look at the book, we are going to be looking at Skull of the Vampire. This is a deluxe adventure module and is volume 1 of the Lord Vandrak Chronicles. It is an adventure module for one player for the Hammer+CrossRPG designed by Noah Patterson. I reviewed the Hammer and Cross Deluxe Core Rulebook in one of my other videos, and it's really good. It's based off Victorian Gothic horror, mainly the Hammer horror movies of the 60s and 70s, and is a fantastic book. Has a campaign in it. I've played through. It's a lot of fun. And this is the first in a series of 5 books that I'll be reviewing that are all one campaign, or you can play them individually if you want to. What is micro RPG? If you haven't seen the other videos, the micro RPG system is a role-playing system devised by Noah Patterson, and it comes in these little chapbooks, and they have the basics in these books of how to play without having the big deluxe book. The big deluxe book is nice because it gives you a lot more detail, but just basic playing rules are all in here. This is all you really need to try it out. And each of these also has a little adventure in it. Your stats for your character can all fit on an index card or a scrap piece of paper, or the end of each book has a character sheet that you can print out, scan and copy or whatever, and use to play. They are for designed primarily. It's designed for playing solo RPGs, which is become very popular in the last couple of years thanks to COVID. But there are other uses for this, and I've talked about this in my other videos, especially my Hammer and Cross video. This can be played by itself, which is what I've done with it, but I've also thought about using this basically as an adventure module for running a Gothic horror fantasy style game, and everything you need to pre-generate the rooms and the dungeons or whatever they go into is all in here. The cover art on all of these is really cool. And then the back gives you a little blurb about them. And on this one, something strange and sinister is happening at the Mother's Light convent in the rural English countryside. An infestation of rats in the abbey seems to be far more than just vermin finding a new home. You, as a vampire hunter, suspect something darker is afoot. Skull of the Vampire is an adventure module for the Hammer and Cross role-playing game system, and is the first volume in the Lord Vandrak Chronicles story. Each volume in the 5-book series stands on its own, but all connect to make a greater campaign. And I've got some of the other ones here, which I'll do in other videos. But I'm going to do them video by video. This one is kind of starting you out. It's not really connected to the campaign that you play in here, but I guess you could play that same character. Take your character that survives the one from the core book over and play this campaign, or make a new one. Or like I said, you can use this as an adventure module for D&D, basic fantasy, I guess maybe even to some extent like Call of Cthulhu type stuff. When it comes to the micro RPGs, the rules are very light, very simple. All you need to play the game is some scratch paper to write down your character, pencil, some graph paper, 2d6. That's all you really need. The rules are very light, very quick, very easy to familiarize yourself with, and you can cross play these in their different genres or whatever if you want to. So like Hammer and Cross is a deluxe core rulebook for like Hammer horror movie type role playing. Victorian Gothic, but you also have fantasy, sci-fi, Old West, modern horror, Cthulhu, cyberpunk. There's all these different ones, and most of them have a rule book like this. He has just put out some new advanced rule books that kind of, to my understanding, collect a lot of the different character classes and races and things from different stuff and put them all in one. And I am going to pick that up at some point and do a review on it. But you can intermix these, like Hammer and Cross, because it's based on the old Hammer horror movies, doesn't have elves and dwarves and things like that in it. However, the system doesn't care. You could easily swap stuff over and add that to your game if you wanted to. So opening it up, we have an intro page, which is just a copy of the cover. And let's see, everything is sections in here. We have the contents, table of contents, which is pretty light, but you have section 1.0, what is Skull the Vampire? And it goes into telling you what it's about. Section 2 is what do you need to play. Section 3 is the basic rules, which are very basic, very simple and easy. It has a couple of pages on how to generate your characters, how to generate rooms and dungeons and buildings and things that you go into, and how to do faith checks in this particular, because it adds faith, power, and bloodletting because of the vampires. And then it jumps, in section 4.0, jumps right into the adventure background, which I'm not going to read more than I have on the back of the book and give it away, because there's some interesting things to this story, and you can definitely see where it leads from one story to the next. Let's see, as we get to the end of the book, after the story, you have a thing on adventure, or ending the adventure, and the questions that it leaves you with for pushing on with further adventures, and then simple character sheet in the back. The next book picks up where this book leaves off, with you going to investigate something else, because you're a vampire hunter who works for one of 4 different hunting orders, and this one has you coming out. Your order is based out of the city of London, and from London you go out into the countryside and investigate the things going on at this convent. And then from there, the next book picks up and goes on and tells a much longer story, like most campaigns do. It's pretty obvious how that works. So, I am a huge fan of the micro chapbook games. I have several of them. I'm going to get even more of them because they are fantastic fun to play by yourself. But they are also, like I said, fantastic adventures, or adventure ideas at least, for your regular role-playing group. I do intend to run a game based on this, probably using much of this storyline for my regular game group. So there are multiple uses out of this, and these books are like $5 to $6 a piece on Amazon. I think you can get a lot of them for free on, at least in PDF form, on DriveThruRPG. But I do highly suggest checking them out. They are a lot of fun. The stuff that they put out, the Victorian Gothic horror is my favorite. So that's the stuff I jumped on first. But there are several others that I do want to try. And I have not been dissatisfied with any of the stuff that Mr. Patterson has written for any of these books. It's very well done. I have found very few, if any, mistakes as far as the editing goes in the books. And it's just a steal for $6. I think you should definitely check it out if you're looking for some cheap adventure ideas for your role-playing group, or if you don't have a role-playing group and you're wanting to do some role-playing. This is a great way to do it when you have to play solitaire. So I do highly recommend picking up any of them. You want to see a slew of them, just go on Amazon and type in micro RPG, and there'll be a ton of them to choose from. My only complaint with these, if I had to give a complaint, is that there are tons of offshoots, it seems, of the fantasy, obviously, because fantasy is the biggest, but I would like to see more offshoot stuff, especially for the Gothic Horror, the Hammer and Cross, because we have the core rulebook, the deluxe core rulebook, which has the campaign in it, and then we have this 5-part Lord Van Drack campaign here, which is really cool, but I would like to see more of it, just because I love that kind of stuff. So if Mr. Patterson happens to see this video, I'm rooting for more of this, man, because your stuff is really good. That's all I've got on this. If you're interested in solo role playing or getting your hands on cheap adventures or just Victorian Gothic or maybe some of the other micro RPG stuff, I highly recommend picking these up, but I also recommend going and checking out some of their other stuff. That's really all I got on. I got nothing really bad to say about it. This is fantastic. I love these books. If you enjoy these videos or subscribe to the channel, hit the like button. If you have comments about micro RPG and what you think about it, drop them in the comments. I know Mr. Patterson has at least seen some of these videos because he's commented on them, so let him know what you think of his game, because I think they're fantastic. And till next time, my friends, good gaming, good luck.